Hey guys, Rach, the roller derby witch here. I haven't made a video in a while. Terrible person. Again, my whole life is out of control. My office just got moved around, so that's different. And then my house is still a wreck from the flood we had over the summer, so I haven't had time or space necessarily to do videos. But today I'm going to do a fun one, and a couple more after this, but this one's fun. It's the 30 question Halloween tag video response thing. Ladygravedancer did it, Ravenflower did it, and it was funny. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So question number one is, what is your favorite horror or Halloween theme song? Well, it's neither horror or Halloween, but I can tell you right now, it's the Addams Family theme song. Everyone knows da-da-da. That's awesome. My fave. All right. So the next one, number two, name something you wouldn't want to run into in a dark forest or an abandoned building. I'm going to get a little bit current events right now, something that's currently pissing me the fuck off. Brock Turner. Or anyone like him, or any of his supporters, or Meninists, or anybody that is saying a girl asks for it or anything like that. It makes me so angry. So Brock Turner, that's who I wouldn't want to run into in a dark forest or alley or behind a dumpster, any of those things. Next. Get off that. Have you ever played with a Ouija board? I had never used, I wouldn't say played with, because it's not something to play with. I have never used the classic yes, no, goodbye, hello, and the letters, the ones you see in the movies and things like that, the classic Ouija board. When I was in college, I had something called a spirit board, and it had a little, plastic clear circle, and it had like Guardians of the Watchtowers and north, south, east, and west. It came with a little compass, so you could make north face north. It was very, whatever. I don't know what happened in between moving home from college and moving into my current house or whatever happened, but it was a cool board. Nothing weird ever happened with it, so hey, why not? Oh, the psychic circle, that's what it was called. I remember now. All right, number four, my favorite horror movie, monster or villain. I don't have a particular one like a Freddy or a Jason, but I love zombies. I love zombie movies. I just think they're rad. So number five, the creepiest thing that's ever happened to you while you were alone. So I live in an area that is entirely built on, the city that I live in, town, whatever, that I live in is entirely built on a filled-in swamp in the mid-Atlantic region of the United States. It was once inhabited by Piscataway Indians. Native Americans. So I was sitting on my couch at home. I was pregnant with my first son. It was like a Saturday or something, so I wasn't at work. I was just flipping channels, probably eating since I was super, super pregnant. And I heard like what I can only describe as Native American drumming. And normally stuff like that doesn't freak me out. I have no problem with any of that kind of, belief system or existence. I think it's awesome. I hate that the foundation of our country is based on, of my country anyway, was based on kind of booting Native Americans off of the land that they had been on for God knows how long, whatever. But it was ominous. It was not celebratory drumming, in my opinion. It felt weird, it felt wrong, and I bolted. I got my purse, I grabbed my keys, and I drove to my grandmother's house. And since this was my grandmother that was kind of psychic, I walked in the front door, she goes, "You were right to come here." I didn't even say a word. She just said, "You were right to come here." So I waited until I kind of felt like I could go back home, and I went back home, and by that time my husband had gotten home and told him what happened. He just kind of poo-pooed it like, "You're an idiot, you're weird, you're pregnant," but that was the creepiest thing that ever happened to me while I was alone. So if you were dared to spend the night in a haunted house, would you do it? Yes. I grew up in a haunted house. The foundation of my mom's house that she still lives in was built on the foundation that was dug out for the cellar, which was for some reason underneath of a slave's quarters. And the slave's quarters was burnt down after the Civil War. And then, but they left the foundation. They just built a house on it. So my mom lives in this old ass house, and when you go in the basement where the washer and dryer are, if you're switching laundry around, you sometimes feel eyes on you. But in my opinion, it's residual. I don't think there's anybody there doing any tricks. It's just you hear noises, you hear talking, you feel eyes, you see sometimes. I always saw eyes on me. Just eyes, outlines of faces, not shadow people, but just dark in the shadows. It was definitely an apparition of some kind, but it was in the shadows, not a shadow person per se. So number 7, am I superstitious? Yes, but no. The things that some people would consider superstitious, I would consider traditional, like a tradition type thing. Like, do I believe that you can't let a cat get near your baby when it's sleeping because it'll steal its breath, which is something my sister-in-law said to me when I had 2 cats and my first child was born. I looked at her like she was crazy. What? Are you serious? Cats are protectors. I do not believe that. But there are other things that I do believe, you know. God, why can't I think of one off the top of my head? But yeah, so some things are more traditional, but some things to me sound completely ridiculous. Number 8 is, do you see figures in your peripheral vision? Yes. It's very weird out of my left, when I see it on my left side, because this is my left, you're seeing it on the right, my left side, it always feels like that's somebody I know. If I see it out of my right side, I'm like, I need to take a second look because I don't know who or what it could be. Weird, I know there's left and right magic out there. There's left and right feelings out there on things, but that's one of mine. Let me see. Which urban legend scares you the most? I wouldn't say it scares me as much as it puzzles me. Like, I don't feel like I fully understand it. There's so many different accounts, but the Mothman. And I guess because it's semi-near where I live, within a decent driving distance of where I live now. It just kind of freaks me out. Harbingers freak me out a bit. Banshees are another one that's part of my like Celtic Irish, heritage. So that's another one that kind of freaks me out. But the Mothman is a localish kind of one that I can look to be like, ooh, okay. I don't know. The next one is number 10. Do you prefer gore or thrillers? I don't dislike gore, but I like thrillers. I like getting into the heads of everyone involved. Everyone from the victim to the killer to the avenger, if it's a superhero or a police officer or whoever. I like that kind of stuff. Books would be the same kind of way. Do you believe in multiple dimensions or worlds? Yes. Do you have you ever made any kind of potion? Is number 12. Yeah, yes. I hate the word potion. It's an oil, it's an incense, it's a tincture. So to me, they're all different things. So, but yeah, I guess a potion. Oils is probably what I make the most. Anointing oils or bath oils, things like that. So, number 13, do you scare easily? No. Real life scares me more than like ghosty life or, witchy life or something like that. Like real life and real terrible people that are in the world do. 14, have you ever played Bloody Mary? Yes. 5th grade party. That's all. Birthday party. That's all I can remember. I remember it happened. I don't remember anything happening or seeing anything. Do you believe in demons / the devil? This is a hard one for me to answer. I grew up Catholic, and to me the demonology portion was always the most interesting at the same time as the most terrifying in a way that it felt a bit more real than the dogma of the religion to me. These seemed, whenever they were talked about, seemed to be these ancient things that crept up in the world occasionally. I would not say I believe in the devil so much, like the devil, the Satan, the bad guy, the opposition to God or Jesus or whatever. But demons, yes. And I also had a little bit of a weird theory when thinking about this earlier when I watched Ladygravedancer do hers, is that maybe these demons, they were at one time just a spirit, an elemental of some kind, but were, I guess, given negative connotations by the evils of the early Christian church, and then the Middle Ages and all the witch hunts and all that stuff. All of these elemental spirits like sucked in that negativity and became these demonic things. You know, I'm not going to get into the history of demons, the history of Christian church, and opposed to whatever, but that's just a kind of a undeveloped theory that I had when thinking about that question. Okay, 16, you're home alone, you hear footsteps in your house, what do? Nothing. I live in a duplex. It's probably the people that are attached to me. Sorry. That's it. If you got trapped in one scary movie, which would you choose? It's going to sound weird, but M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. I think that movie was so well done for the type of movie that it was. I really like the idea of somebody like living in like a colonial way in the middle of a woods. I think that's hilarious. I would never want to do it because, girl, I can't handle life without Wi-Fi. But I think that that's something that people would do. Like, there are people that do that. You watch all these shows, these trappers and homesteaders and things like that are on TV. People do that, and if there was a whole community of it, someone could definitely take advantage of that and use fear to control the whole thing. Sorry, I just gave you the whole plot if you've never seen it, but go see it anyway. It's interesting. So if I could only wear one Halloween costume for the rest of my life, what would it be? I know pretty much everyone else is going to say witch, because that's kind of what we do here on YouTube a lot in the pagan community, but I'm going to say Morticia Addams, because she's like the legit mother, wife, lover, bitch witch, and I love it. So, Morticia. Number 19, would you ever go to a graveyard at night? Yes, have. Doing it next month, it's fine, whatever. In a zombie apocalypse, what would your weapon be? I'm going to have to go with like a sword. Something sharp, something head slicey for both bad humans and brain eaters. So that's where I'd go. Would you rather go to a Halloween party or trick-or-treating for number 21? Party. I love Halloween parties. I would go to every single one that I was invited to if I could, but there are specific ones I like the best that I'm always invited to. So number 22, you're in a horror movie. Are you the final girl, the first to die, the comic relief, the skeptic, the smart one, or the killer? My husband would say the smart one. My family would say the comic relief, killer. I get so ragey about the world sometimes. I think, anyway, next. Don't quote me on that. All right, 23. Do you have to watch something happy after watching a horror movie so you can go to sleep? No. 24. While watching scary movies, are you the person who yells at the characters, or the person that covers their eyes the whole time, or the person who falls asleep? I wouldn't say I yell at the characters. I would say I question them. Like watching The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, I'm like, seriously? You know they like noise, you know this, you know that, why are you doing that? It would just be like sarcastic kind of questioning them. Or I would fall asleep because I'm notorious for falling asleep. I fell asleep in the theater when my husband and I saw the movie The Witch. He was like, we paid all this money to see this movie that you wanted to see, and you fell asleep. Sorry, I was tired. And a little bit rum reach. Anyway, all right, so I'm looking down. I got paper, I got my notes in case you wonder what I'm looking at. Number 25, almost done. Are you the one who gets scared or the one who does the scaring? I'm doing the scaring. I'm got all the Halloween stuff. I raid the Halloween stores and all that stuff. I like to scare. I like to do the scaring. Favorite scary books. These are not going to be like storybooks. I thought about saying The Addams Family, the original. But what I really, really recently loved reading was the Ed Lorraine Warren's books. The Demonologist, and then there's a couple other ones. The Haunting. Just a bunch of, there was a, bunch of stories about all of their escapades that they did over the course of their careers. 27, how old were you when you saw your first horror movie? I think I was about 10 years old, and it was Poltergeist. I didn't even watch the whole thing. Insufficient space on card. whatever. Anyway, so it was the gross maggots on the chicken leg or whatever from Poltergeist, and that was, ugh. Just remember thinking that was really freaking disgusting as a kid. I had a little bit of a sheltered childhood, so I didn't see a lot of the, I've never seen a Freddy movie, I've never seen a Jason movie, I've never seen a Michael Myers movie, I've never seen any of those things just because I was super sheltered and didn't get to. Yeah. Most of my horror movies that I've seen have been since I've been an adult. No, it's number 28. What was your first Halloween costume? I asked my mom about this one. She couldn't remember if it was like a scarecrow or like a Raggedy Ann type doll with a little face dots or something like that. So I'm not sure. I have no idea. I know what both my kids were. My oldest was a Chili Pepper, and then my second was Babe Ruth because he was a little chunk. So I put a little baseball uniform on him and called it a day. For this year, I'm thinking about being a Viking. I have big furry boots and big furry cape, and I think I'm going to do that. So number 30 and the final is, if you could have a spooky Halloween pet, a black cat, an owl, a bat, a rat, or a wolf, what would you pick? Well, I have 2 black cats and a black dog that thinks she's a black cat. So I would pick wolf because that's a Morgan animal and one that, out of all of those on there, I would think is the most exotic. We don't have wolves around where I live. We have coyotes that were shipped in to take care of a incestuous rabbit population, but it didn't work, and now there's just coyotes all over the place. So, yeah, I would say I would like to have a wolf. So that's it for my 30 question VR Halloween tag. First tag video. I don't know. I think it's cool.